Welcome back. Now, if you've ever wondered just why we get such a kick out of watching celebs jumping out of planes and eating creepy crawlies, well, our next guest has all the answers.
Yes, please welcome Pádraig Walsh.
Hey, Pádraig, how are you?
Karen, take it out.
I'm glued 9 o'clock every evening, absolutely inhaling.
I thought you would.
Why am I enjoying it so much, though? Why do I love watching these celebs put through pain?
You're intrigued by human behaviour, Karen, and we love to see group dynamics. What happens when you throw Boy George in with Mike Tyndall and a former health secretary all into the jungle? So we all turn into amateur behavioural psychologists for the few weeks that this is on to see what happens. But it's not just people, it's celebrities.
Yes.
So there's a German term called Schadenfreude, right?
Well,
which is
pronounced.
Thank you. I had to phonetically look it up on Google earlier on today. Yeah. So, but Schadenfreude, taking pleasure in the discomfort of others. Celebrities in the jungle eating kangaroo anus and like all sorts of horrible things. That takes us in. Now, the celebrities that are selected aren't always just the ones that we love. So there was an American radio host in the 1980s called Howard Stern. Okay?
Oh, yes.
You heard of Howard Stern?
Yeah, of course.
So there's a film made about him with Paul Giamatti, Fred Claus. Remember Fred Claus?
Oh, yeah.
Paul Giamatti was in it. He was a marketing executive looking at the audience figures and he was trying to get them off the air. But he was trying to convince the execs and they said, why would we get rid of Howard Stern? The average listener listens to him for 80 minutes per listening. And then Paul Giamatti said, yeah, but what about the people who don't like him? They say they listen for 2.5 hours to him. So the fact that some of the people on the show are celebrities that we don't like seems to pull us in even more.
So why do we like getting wound up by Matt Hancock? I mean, he's whatever about us watching here at a slight remove, he's enraging the majority of the British public over there.
Like, does anyone see the programme? Because we spend our time behind our hands over our eyes. But then when you see him talking, when you hear the interactions, the group dynamics at play, you hear the excuses, it's really difficult to listen to. And there is an element of Schadenfreude there, taking that pleasure from seeing the discomfort of others on our TV screen, and we feel safe. And it really breeds this conversation that we have with friends and family, because we're not involved. We're just looking on, unless we're on Godly Boss.
Well, tell us then, whatever about us enjoying watching the displeasures of these poor folks, why do they sign up, other than, of course, the paycheck, right? But why do they sign up knowing what's ahead?
The paycheck. No. Well, I always look at this through the lens. In behavioural psychology, there's a term called loss aversion. So we feel losses way more than we feel gains. We hate losing almost twice as much as we love winning. Okay? Now, think about the status that some of these celebrities would have had in the past. It's not like they're coming, like Love Island participants, where they're coming from zero and the fame is being shot onto them. They're trying to cling on to something. A lot of them are. Mike Tyndall's retired. Boy George is past his best. Matt Hancock, you know, they're trying to redeem themselves. So there's this loss aversion where they are like a gambler at the end of a night. They're rolling the dice one last time, one big gamble, and they're really trying to retrieve that lost fame that they would have had. Status is a really important thing for celebrities, and that celebrity status is there. But you think about any of us. Kamal, you're going to come New Year's and you're going to have some New Year's resolution that's going to want to change yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the gym and I'm going to not, drink, and I'm actually not a big drinker. I'm not going to, all the things that I never do.
And we do these things to ourselves because it's one of the real paradoxes of human nature. We love consistency, we love comfort, we love things being okay. And then every once in a while, we'll say, I'm going to hit the gym and I'm going to be really uncomfortable. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to take on a new course that's going to keep me up all night and I'm going to have to cram at the very end in order to get through. So we put these challenges upon ourselves in order to better ourselves. But we're trying to achieve rather than cling on to something that we once had.
Okay. What about psychological techniques that we've actually seen some of the celebs adopt? Boy George seems to be doing a lot of mindfulness, and he's like locked in close quarters, something that would be extremely claustrophobic. He's actually not minded that because of his experience with mindfulness. So what are the techniques that people deploy typically then in those tough situations?
Yeah, mindfulness is really popular. It is a real great place to play in psychological well-being. don't know how much of a role it has to play when you're surrounded by rats in a dark coffin. And there's a role for mindlessness at some stage. And you think about going to the gym or putting yourself into real stressful situations. Most of your energy is put into mindlessness, of taking your mind off that, of really detaching yourself from that experience. Nobody wants to mindfully eat the eyeball of a crocodile.
Yes, you're right.
You know, we don't see that happening. So the mindfulness is grand when he's in the jungle, but when he's in the middle of pressure situations, you might see him employ those types of strategies that are going to take him out of that headspace and to detach him from what's actually happening. And that's what we tend to do when we're in really difficult situations. We will say, this is only temporary and it will pass. It's only a game show and I am safe. I'm able to get through this. And one of the big things is the group dynamics that are created by these Bush-Tucker trials.
Because they're not just doing it for themselves.
Because they're not just doing it for themselves. And when we think about going, I'm going to use the marathon analogy again, but when we do see people running a marathon, oftentimes we do it for charity. And that is the motivation that we require to overcome that discomfort, that it is bigger than just me, it is for a greater cause.
I would say childbirth, Pádraig, would be my... You can muster some strength and power through when you will give up if it was just for yourself, but when it's like for this baby, you will do anything.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it is when parenting, you just end up doing things, but childbirth is another level, Karen. I'm not going to change that. I can't take that. That was your trump card. She produced that very quickly.
I know, sorry. And 3 times.
Well done. But it is that. It is that thing that you're saying, do you know what? I'm going to transcend this pain because it's for the greater good. Now, look, we're not going to compare childbirth to somebody trying to get extra food for people they don't know because they're on TV, okay? But that is one of the techniques or one of the strategies that they use, but also we tend to use when we're coping.
So you can push yourself further when you know it's not just for your own.
When it's not just for yourself, it's for some greater good.
Now, you kind of touched on this. I'm a Celebrity is full of bizarre challenges, but like you said, it is a game show, similar to Love Island, Love is Blind, Survivor. How, the game-playing elements, how does that come into it?
Yeah, it's not all just Bush-Tucker trials and coping with real discomfort and adversity. It's also what we see on our screens is them just hanging out, lying down, chatting away to each other, building alliances, building working alliances with each other. Who you hang around with frames how people interpret who you are, you know? So you will see that kind of group dynamic develop within the jungle. You'll start to see people detaching themselves from those who are undesirable, shall we say, and they'll push away, and they have the kind of chair, you know, where they honestly disclose how they're feeling. You'll see a lot of honesty coming out there, where they're trying to say, who's the person that I want to be associated with? Who's the person that I really want folks back home to see that I don't agree with, you know?
And so how would you see the dynamics of I'm a Celebrity comparing to the likes of a reality show like Love Island?
I think celebrities are aware of the cameras much more. You know, they've been there, they've done that. And they have been at the top and now they're dropping down. Whereas Love Island, you see a lot of people who would have maybe not been in the spotlight before, who are trying to understand the dynamics. You know, they will play the game as well and be aware of those alliances. But I think I'm a Celebrity is in a league of its own, really.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's probably the nastier side of our instinct as humans, but when you start slagging someone off, you kind of bond with the person, so you definitely see that play out, don't you?
And that's why it's one of those really social occasions watching these reality TV shows. Not only do we talk with our family and slag off who's on TV, oftentimes we go to social media to see what they're saying, and then they make programmes after the programme where people discuss it as well. So it's a real collective social thing that brings people together. Maybe not to support the celebrity.
Exactly. And at such times, we just like watching people in packs like that, don't we? And how it all plays out.
It's a whole again. Pádraig, thank you very much. You're hanging around as well?
I'm hanging around.
We'll do some more psychology.